music, 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 music. How did the Essenes really live? In the previous chapter, we began a fascinating journey into one of the most mysterious communities of antiquity. We discovered who the Essenes were, learned about the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, and understood why they still arouse so much curiosity today. But getting to know a people through history is only the first step. To truly understand the Essenes, we now need to do something different. We need to walk alongside them. We need to enter their community. We need to imagine what it was like to live an entire day among men who dedicated their whole existence to the pursuit of purity, truth, and God. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the silence of the desert, the cool air before sunrise, and in the distance, the calm waters of the Dead Sea. In front of you, a small community built of stone. No luxury, no wealth, no ostentation, just simplicity. And this is where our day begins. The Essenes believed that the place where we live profoundly influences who we are. Perhaps that's why they chose to establish many of their communities in places far from the big cities. The most well-known is located in Qumran, on the shores of the Dead Sea. There, surrounded by the desert, they found what they were looking for: silence, retreat, discipline, and a safe distance from the distractions and conflicts of society. For them, the desert was not an empty place. It was a place of encounter. There they found their essence. There they found the truth. There they found themselves. The archaeological excavations carried out in Qumran have made it possible to reconstruct much of the life of this community. There were simple dormitories, rooms dedicated to the study of the scriptures, a large communal dining hall, workshops, cisterns for storing water, carefully constructed aqueducts, and numerous spaces intended for ritual purification. Everything had a purpose. Nothing existed by chance. The very architecture reflected the importance of order and discipline. But how did a day begin among the Essenes? Long before sunrise, the community would awaken. Silence was absolute. The first moments of the day were dedicated to prayer, meditation, and contemplation. It was not something rushed. It was a profound moment of connection with the whole, with the universe, and with God. They believed that each new dawn was a divine gift and that the heart should be prepared before any other activity. Only then, the work would begin. Each member had a specific role. Some cultivated the fields, others took care of the animals. There were those who prepared the food, those who made utensils, and those who took care of the buildings. And there were also the scribes, men dedicated to the extraordinary mission of carefully copying the scriptures and other sacred texts. It was an extremely demanding job. Every word was written with immense respect. Every letter required concentration. A small mistake could mean having to start the entire work over again. For the Essenes, copying, the sacred context was also a form of prayer. There were also the respected community elders, whose vital role was to mentor and guide new members of the community, and to provide a thorough education for the children, according to the established rules and traditions and the Essene philosophy. In addition, they performed healing using natural products, herbs, teas, infusions, and manipulation of universal energy in connection with the whole. Healings were performed for many people who sought out these communities, some coming from very far away. The Essenes were natural healers. An interesting fact about the Essene community is that practically everything was shared. Goods belonged to the community. There was no individual wealth. When someone decided to become an Essene, they handed over their possessions for the benefit of all. The community became their family. This way of living and these rules lead us to reflect on another group that emerged many years later, and that, although apparently unrelated to the Essenes, if we analyze it deeply, operated in exactly the same way. And we will talk about them in a new series. We are talking about the Knights Templar. Returning to the Essenes, each person worked not only for themselves, but for the common good. It was a society built on cooperation, not competition. Meals also held a very special place. Before eating, the whole community would gather together. It was a perfect moment for prayer, for giving thanks, for all the food that planet Earth provided them each day. Only then would the meal begin. Everything took place in deep silence and respect. The food was simple. Ancient texts suggest that they especially valued natural foods, grains, vegetables, fruits, olive oil, and other products available in the region. They often chose seeds and herbs to accompany their meals. The simplicity of their diet was part of their spiritual discipline. Eating was not just about nourishing the body. It was also an act of gratitude. But becoming an Essene was not easy. Contrary to what many might think, no one entered the community immediately. If someone was not the child of an Essene man and woman, they had to go through a long period of observation. According to Flavius Josephus, this process could last up to about 3 years. During this time, the candidate was observed. Their humility, character, and discipline. Their ability to live in a community was also observed. They underwent a long period of learning the true Essene doctrines, many of which are still hidden in the manuscripts today. Only then could they be accepted as a full member. It was a decision for a lifetime, because they would gain access to certain information, some healing techniques that could not leave the community. Another remarkable characteristic was the importance placed on purity. The Essenes frequently performed ritual baths. They were not simple, hygienic baths. They represented an inner purification. In these baths, they used herbs known only to them, either as infusions or for ingestion. The goal was not only to cleanse the body, but also to cleanse their energetic aura, so that they could always maintain a high vibration. A daily commitment to a more conscious life, closer to the universal consciousness, which we now know as God. Water symbolized renewal, cleansing, a new beginning. As the day came to an end, the pace of the community slowed down again. After work and study, it was once again time for prayer and reflection. The sun slowly disappeared behind the mountains. Silence returned, most likely. Few ancient communities lived with a rhythm so deeply connected to the cycles of nature. The sunrise marked the beginning. The sunset invited retreat. Everything seemed to happen in perfect harmony. Perhaps it is precisely this harmony that continues to fascinate so many people. We live in a society where there never seems to be enough time, where haste has become a habit, where silence is increasingly rare, the Essenes chose exactly the opposite path. They slowed down, listened, observed, sought to live with intention, and every day in their meditations and reflections allowed themselves to descend into their innermost and deepest selves. Once again, interestingly, we have a comparison with all the Templar churches we know, where to enter a church, you do not go up any steps. Instead, you gradually go down, which has been scientifically proven to symbolize the act of descending deep into your purest, most authentic and deepest inner self. The Essenes did not reject the world, but because they believed that only a tranquil mind can truly hear the voice of the divine. It is important to remember that much of what we know results from a combination between the Dead Sea Scrolls, accounts from ancient authors such as Flavius Josephus, Philo of Alexandria, and Pliny the Elder, and the archaeological discoveries made at Qumran. But how many manuscripts are still yet to be discovered? There are still unanswered questions. There are aspects that continue to be debated by researchers. But one thing seems completely clear. The Essenes sought to build a deeply spiritual way of life, organized and oriented toward continuous inner transformation. Perhaps the greatest lesson they left us is not just in the scrolls, nor in the ruins of Qumran, nor even in the pages of history. Perhaps it is a question that remains as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. What kind of life truly brings us closer to peace? Each person will answer differently, but the Essenes believed that this answer began in silence, humility, simplicity, and daily dedication to inner growth. In the next chapter, we will dive even deeper into the universe of this extraordinary community. We will discover their spiritual practices. How did they meditate? How did they pray? How did they understand the relationship between humans and the whole universe? How did they understand the relationship between humans and the consciousness of God? And why does their spirituality continue to inspire so many people to this day? Perhaps there is still much to discover. Perhaps many of us have passed through an Essene community. Until then, may peace accompany your path, and once again, welcome to the extraordinary community of the Essenes.